So, needless to say, I'm just obsessed with trying to make the most out of these Jensen CS315. Final tweaks with these Jensens because, you know what, I want to finish them up. I want to say, I am done and this is as good as I could make them. You know, I have to keep that simple approach in mind that, hey, you know, I'm just trying to do as much as I can with as little as I have here. A lot of this has been, you know, time dedicated to it, not necessarily money. So you can't just throw money at stuff and, you know, open up a catalog and order a bunch of cool parts and then slap it together and expect to have something great. If you're building speakers, yeah, there's a point, right? You could do your research, you can pick out your parts, you can design cabinets, you can figure out port sizes, etc., crossover points, all that kind of thing. But when it comes down to it, when the rubber meets the road and you're listening to it, you know, what's that thing gonna sound like? And I would venture to say that most guys out there that are building speakers already know this, but you're gonna have to spend some time tweaking them, listening to them, measuring them with something, anything, you know, some decibel meter or, you know, an app on your phone or whatever. You can't just throw a bunch of parts together and expect it to sound great. So anyway, I hope that I don't have to spend much more time on this. I'm going to let you into some, you know, deep corners of my brain here as I'm thinking about what I can do as some final improvements on these. The biggest thing that I can think of, honestly, right now, is the bass response. Reason is because I've got this kind of tail end on the frequency response. That is, where in-room response, I'm showing like a jump up, back down, and back up that covers the span of, you know, like a 20 dB range. Now that up and down action isn't quite that severe. It's probably more in the, say, 14 dB range. But it's still something that would be definitely noticeable if some instruments were trying to get in that region. But what I noticed is that there was a song that I was playing back that happened to be trying to hit that level or that area where there's a suck out.
Before you break another heart, before another teardrop starts, you better run from me, go. I love you so.
I noticed in a music track that there were areas down in that suck out that were trying to produce some sound, but because the potential or capability of the speaker per its frequency response doesn't have that capacity, right? I'm not hearing whatever that musical information is or should be, or it's much quieter than, it's actually more quiet than what it should be. So I'm still going to hear it, but it's going to be quieter. You're talking about decibels. It's a measurement of sound pressure level. So the rule of thumb is that basically you have to double the output to hear say a 3 dB difference in sound. So 3 dBs is kind of like the standard for, yes, we definitely notice a huge increase in sound, you know, from nothing plus 3 dB, whatever that nothing is, or that datum. So 70 dB to 73 dB, let's say, or 80 dB to 83 dB. So just to demonstrate that real quick, I'm going to show you here what in decibels as far as what this receiver is going to show me and what we're hearing, okay? Let's say 20 dB, okay? Just to really exaggerate the point. But if you had a 20 dB suck out in your response, it's going to be crazy. Watch. All right. So this is negative 30 dB, okay? This is the sound level that we're hearing. Now I'm going to turn it up to minus 10 dB, which is a 20 decibel difference. And you tell me if you can hear this difference.
Love a man, oh, where can you be? The night is
So,
cold
big
and
difference from here
but no one to love me.
to here is 10 dB.
Love a man, oh, where can you be?
So what I'm getting at here is that all the musical information is there. It's just not as pronounced. It's not like it's missing or gone, or like you're not going to hear it at all. You'll hear it, especially if you're listening at some, moderate listening levels. But it's going to carry a frequency response profile or character that shows or kind of reflects that suck out. And so it might be something that sounds good, right? It might be something that's pleasing, but it's best to get all that musical information as close to, the same sound pressure level as possible. So that's what I'm going to try to tackle here today, because right now, like I say, if we're playing something in that lower region, say bass in the 20 to 200 range, it's not as, there's some wonkiness to it, there's kind of that suck out, so that's the musical information that we're missing out on. Piano, drums, voices, anything synthesized, organs, bass, you name it, there's a ton of information in that region. So it's really important that we nail that down. I'll try to pick out a few tracks here that have musical information in those areas so that we can watch on a graph. And I'll also run a frequency sweep first so that you can, especially for those of you that might just be tuning in for the first time, so you can see that, what a frequency graph is, and then how the music plays up against it, and how that music, as it's flowing live, kind of follows the profile of the frequency response, okay? So that's the idea, and let's get started. So what I was talking about is we're watching this red line here. Because as we're playing music, like we are in the background, you can see how when it's playing back the music, it's live. And it's gonna create a hold line at its highest points.
And long for the day when I cling to him.
All right, so what I'm talking about as far as character of the speaker goes, you're already kind of seeing the character of the speaker. A little heavy on the bass end, goes down like I talked about. It's got a pretty decent strong mid-range, and then it gets softer. Now, this will go up as we get musical information that hits in that range more. Let's go ahead and turn on this test DVD. I'll show you what I'm turning on here. I've got a little monitor set up over here. And that's what I'm talking about. This is the Dayton OmniMic DVD. Just to kind of show you what this thing does. We can do a short sweep, long sweep, bass sweeps, tones, delay measurement, and pseudo noise. And these things are, this is a 5.1. You could use it on stereo too as well. So like with a short sweep, for example, this is what it does. Comes up, and we could say which speaker we want to listen to, right? And I'm going to go all channels. 10 dB from here to here. Two of these rows together is 20 dB. So I've got right now between 200 and 400, I've got a suck out, and that's between both speakers. Let's see what's happening with each speaker individually. So first, we'll do the left. Now let's try the right and see what it looks like compared to it. Okay, so a little bit different. Now combined, obviously, they're going to be whatever both speakers are putting out in both areas of the room are going to be giving you what you actually hear. Which is that. I can go with a bass sweep. Let's reset this. Say if we try to use this -70 line as our bass, as our datum, we're meeting that at 26 hertz. We've got a peak at 40 hertz, give or take, 44 hertz. I'm picturing that my bass reflex port is kicking in down here in the 28 plus range. And this is not too awful bad. I mean, like I had showed you with that volume demonstration, this little dip here, 4 decibels, like that's not going to be super noticeable. But going from here to here, that's more dramatic. Because this is 10 decibels, 20 decibels, 26 decibels down. That's a really big area of information that's gone. You know, we want to really focus on this range in here. So I'll go ahead and actually put this pointer here, which happens to be at 300 hertz. And let's kind of see what musical information is in that range that we're missing out on. I'll try to find some tracks that are bass heavy and with varying degrees of, whether it be instruments or voices or, you know, drums, strings, piano, whatever. This is what I'm watching right in here, this range from 200 to 400, because I'd like to get this more flat. So in terms of musical information, it's pretty obvious. We've got this guy, 70, 80, 100 range, dancing around. Got another one here in the 150 range. And as you can see, these areas are within, say, a total of 8 decibels. This one, though, this area in here should be higher right now. These should be up higher along with the other ones. So, and what is the difference? 20 dB? I'll show you. So right now, whatever's playing in here, you should have heard before.